week's episode of One Piece literally needs to be exercised. Not only is it episode 666, but we also get to learn that Cavendish has a creepy roommate living inside of his head. He has an alter ego by the name of Hakuba, and Hakuba's a psychopath! He pretty much kills everybody in D-Block except for Rebecca, and that's the twist in this week's episode. I gotta say, I'm really surprised by this, because I hated Cavendish. I hated everything about the character. He seemed so boring in one note. By adding this weird Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde dynamic to his character, I'm a little interested to see what he's gonna do in the future of this arc. Otherwise, this was a pretty decent episode. A little slow, there were just a few moments that could have been cut, but there were some interesting developments and a little bit of action, especially the battle between Franky and Senor Pink, which is always exciting, because if you ever wanted to see a man dressed as a baby suplexing a giant cyborg, this is the episode for you. To me, Rebecca winning the way she did seems kind of like a cop-out, but that's only because I wanted her to win of her own merits. But just the fact that you get to learn a little bit more about Cavendish having this weird, creepy backstory where he went from town to town, literally killing people in his sleep, because apparently he has narcolepsy, and whenever he goes to sleep, his evil Hakuba side comes out. And is anybody else reminded of Aluka Zoldyck from Hunter x Hunter? The battle between Franky and Senor Pink is short-lived, but it does have some cool moments and some awkwardly funny moments of Senor Pink giving his philosophy on what it means to be a man and why he dresses himself as a baby. It's basically just him spewing bullshit, and I just cannot wait for Franky to beat the crap out of him. You know why Doflamingo is a great villain? Because he doesn't give a shit about anything. He does exactly what he wants, and that's why he always has this nasty grin on his face. But that's just what makes him so fun to watch. The scene where he has King Riku and Law tied up, and he's basically just berating them and breaking them down, is really messed up, and it's intercut with scenes of Franky and Senor Pink fighting, and it's pretty friggin' awesome. I like the scene because it reminds the viewers of Violet, because she actually has a pretty big appearance at the end of this week's episode when she runs into Luffy, Kinemon, and Zoro, and she's actually going to be the one who's going to help them sneak inside. So what's the rundown on this week's episode of One Piece? Not too much happened, but there were definitely some cool moments. I will say, I was really shocked by the beginning of the episode. I really didn't know what was going to happen. I'm glad they went back and showed everything. And when they went through all of that in the backstory of Cavendish, it was surprisingly ghoulish and bloody, even by One Piece standards. They really made Cavendish's other side, Hakuba, seem like a really creepy character. And I can't wait to see how that's going to come into play as this arc is going to go on. Rebecca, I still don't know what to think of her character. I was really impressed when they introduced her at first, because I frankly just thought her design was badass, just the gold armor, and she was just a gladiator, and I was just hoping that maybe she could be another candidate for Straw Hat Pirate, because we need another female member, and I just figured that she would be awesome, but she hasn't really done anything quite yet, really, that's made me really want to stay, attached to her character that much. But there were still some other great scenes this week between Sabo and Bartolomeo, and the short battle between Senor Pink and Franky. I don't know how long this battle's going to go on for. Senor Pink, though, it's so hard to gauge what his power is like, because he does some pretty awesome moves this week, but these guys are, barely even doing anything yet. They're not even, showing their best abilities. This is just like in Dragon Ball Z, where they start out slow and they're going to build up as the battle is going on. And Senor Pink is just a ridiculous character, even by One Piece standards, and it's just fun to watch him. This episode was good because it was a mixture of a lot of different things. There was some comedy from Luffy and the gang. You got to see a little bit of tension with Doflamingo. There was a little bit of excitement at the beginning and mystery with getting to learn about Cavendish. The animation was pretty good. The artwork was good. The voice acting, as always, is boisterous and hilarious. The music cues, as always, are classic. This was a really good episode of One Piece, just not that much happened, but still, I really enjoyed it. I loved the whole thing about Cavendish, because I didn't even see that coming, and I love when I never expect anything in One Piece, because sometimes things can be kind of predictable, and I really loved how they did that cliffhanger last week. I was really excited for this week's episode, and I think it paid off in that aspect. I can't wait to see more from Franky and Senor Pink, so I think this was a good episode. Not perfect, it was a little slow in a lot of parts, and some scenes could have been cut altogether. Otherwise, I still think you should check this out if you're a big fan of the series. I'm giving this week's episode a 3 out of 5. Check it out, One Piece fans. Pretty entertaining stuff. Thank you guys for watching my review. If you like this video, make sure and give it a thumbs up. Before you guys leave, please tell me what you thought about this week's episode of One Piece. What did you think about Rebecca winning by default thanks to Cavendish pretty much taking out everybody? And what do you want to see from the rest of the Dressrosa arc? Before you guys leave, please go ahead and subscribe to our channel. You can do that by clicking on the icon right up here. You guys can also follow us on Facebook and on Twitter.